year I decided I quit my job and tap 40 trees. And so that's why partly you're here. We tapped 21 trees here in the Arboretum. You probably have lots of questions about how you make syrup and all that stuff. Basically, this is a red maple, and we have about 10 red maples here in I call it the red maple grove, here on the farm side of the Arboretum. And red maples, sugar, maples, silver, black maples all produce a sugary sap. Also Norways do. We have a lot of Norway maples in Philadelphia. And what we're doing is really just demonstrating the value of these magnificent trees. Apart from all the wonderful other things they do, they also produce the sugary sap. Basically, very simple. When you tap a tree, I'm not going to do it today because it's the end of the season, you drill a small hole about 1.5 inches in, and you put a little tap, so like a couple inches long, something called a spile. And then if you can see here, we're connecting it to a small tube and then to a bucket. Some of the trees in the Arboretum and in East Oak Lane are filling up a 5-gallon bucket in under 12 hours. Wow. So that's kind of crazy, right? So this is a 5-gallon bucket, the same as on the trees in terms of volume. So imagine that much sap, which again I'll show you in a moment. When you boil a 5-gallon bucket down, you get this much syrup. Oh. So that's a pint. So 1/8. So another way to think about it is you need 40 gallons to 1 gallon. Although this past week we collected over 160 gallons, and when I sent it to Stockton University, who's our research partner, they do a test. And it turns out the maple trees in North Philadelphia are closer to 3% rather than 2% sugar content. Now that only sounds like 1%, but it's really, when you think about it, 50% more sugar content, which means a lot less energy to boil it to syrup. One thing to note too is that the maples, and again this is a red maple, are only producing sap with the sugar in the winter time for about 5 or 6 weeks, when it's below freezing at night and above freezing during the day. It's releasing gas and with it the sap. So this tree's moving. You look at this crown. The crown is this whole area above the tree and above the ground. It has all the beautiful eventual leaves on it. What you see above the ground is essentially mirrored below the ground. So the root system of a tree looks similar to what you see above, at least in terms of like distances and all that stuff. So this tree is sucking up thousands of gallons of water, and we're just releasing a little bit at a time. Some people ask, does it hurt the tree? It hurts the tree kind of in the way like you think about giving blood. Like it does some damage, but it heals very quickly. So as long as you only tap healthy trees, and you don't over tap them, we're only doing a small portion of trees in Philadelphia. There's tens of thousands of tappable trees in Philly. There. So again, this is in the last 48 hours or so. You can see. Some people say, oh, I thought it came out as syrup, which would be amazing. That would save a lot of time and energy, but most people think you can just tap sugars, but you can also tap birches. You can tap lots of other kinds of trees if you know what you're doing. 2% sugar and water, and syrup is 66%, so it's like slightly sweet.
How do you recognize the maple trees?
How do you recognize the maple trees? Great question. I'm not particularly good at this. So thankfully this season, I knew I had a sugar maple in my backyard, but this season we're partnering with Stockton University that has a USDA grant to study maple tapping outside of Vermont. So we had a forester come out with me for 2 or 3 days, this guy Matt Olson, and he started like teaching me how to see it. Norways are a very common street tree in Philly. They are tappable, but they have a bit of latex in it, and we keep that sap separate. It's a little cloudier. So about the same amount in that tree. So you can see just from 2 trees, we got almost an office cooler's worth of sap. So again, this would create, that's like 4 gallons-ish. It would create, 12 ounces of syrup once you boil it.